Well, it's certainly been an eventful few days. Hello, ladies, men, and non binary friends. Welcome back. Since the results of the 2024 election, there's been a lot of conversations about what to do now. 56% of young men voted for Trump, a candidate that has threatened abortion access, directly endangering the lives of millions of women in the US, and most men don't seem to care. Because of this, many women are swearing off of men entirely with what is called the 4B movement, meaning they are not dating men, they are not having sex with men, they're not getting married to men, and they're not having children with men. And I, naturally, have a lot of feelings about this. So let's examine where we are, how we got here, and what to do now. Starting with the male loneliness epidemic. The male loneliness epidemic has been a prevailing topic in the cultural zeitgeist since the pandemic. Traditional and outdated ideas of masculinity, coupled with an increasingly isolating digital era, has led to, well, this. This has also been an instigator for young men entering the alt-right pipeline, seeking out kinship and guidance from influencers online who have a disturbing obsession with blaming many, if not all of their problems on women and minorities under the guise of, quote, male empowerment or being a man. And so many of these issues are directly connected. Men's lack of vulnerability in their shared spaces, men's lack of wellness and mental health resources in their communities, how isolated many of us have become in the age of the internet, further exacerbated by COVID, the rise of alt-right messaging and fascism, and the rise in promoting traditional values. And I'll get to how all of these kind of feed into each other. But first, a word from our sponsor, Surfshark. Today's video is brought to you by Surfshark VPN. Cyber threats, regional content restrictions, and targeted ads can make staying safe online and keeping your data private a challenge. And that's where Surfshark VPN comes in. Surfshark encrypts your internet connection, keeping your data private, and keeps your online activity safe from hackers, trackers, and third parties that want to scrape your data. Plus, it lets you access content from around the world by bypassing regional and geo restrictions. If you want to watch your favorite show, but it's only available on like Netflix in Canada, you can do that with Surfshark. You can stream content in any region, anytime. And honestly, with the rising prices of streaming services, it's kind of a good way to get more bang for your buck. Surfshark is also a VPN that can be used on unlimited devices. There is no limit. So if you've been looking for a VPN for your entire family, or if you're just someone that has a lot of devices and you only want to pay for one subscription, Surfshark is the right choice. With Surfshark Alert, you will be notified of any personal leaks, including any of your email addresses found in breached online databases, or if your credit card gets hacked after you purchased a rare Shinx plushie from a sketchy website. No, this is not based on a personal experience. Why do you ask? There's also a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if you've been debating getting a VPN for a while now, test it out. See if you like it. You can use my code surfshark.com/happypancake to try Surfshark today and to get 4 extra months for free. My link is available in the description and in the pinned comment. Thank you so much to Surfshark for sponsoring this video, and thank you to you for trying it out. Supporting the sponsors really helps my channel and allows me to keep doing what I'm doing here. Now back to the video. So why is this happening now? Well, since the 1990s, there has been a friendship decline in America that is more pronounced in men, which just further disrupts the already tenuous state of emotional regulation and expression in men, and as we've seen, increased loneliness. Emotional expression can become so foreign that men may actively avoid it in others as well. Just witnessing the emotions of other men becomes uncomfortable. They may self-distance as a form of self-protection, yet this only perpetuates isolation and loneliness. It's not just internal. Our culture can be hostile towards men who show their emotions, especially if those emotions are perceived to be, quote, soft or, quote, weak. Even as men are encouraged to get in touch with their emotions, the reception to their feelings of fear, anxiety, or grief can be cold, to say the least. This leaves men in an impossible position. They crave connection, love, and friendship. And in order to achieve that connection and feel truly seen, they must be vulnerable. Yet vulnerability is an emotional risk, and many men have been punished for taking that risk. Vulnerability is the common thread through all of this, and it underpins the invisible wall men often feel between one another. Vulnerability comes from the Latin vulnerare, meaning to wound. Vulnerability creates the potential to be wounded, an emotional experience that exposes the parts of us that can be hurt. This exposure can be uncomfortable, even excruciating, considering the deeply ingrained belief of many men that they must avoid feeling weak. Yet, making themselves vulnerable is the only way that men can truly find a sense of connection and feel seen by others. And for many women, or really anyone that has dated men, we are acutely aware of this. In fact, most of us probably have partners that we've broken up with because of their lack of vulnerability, or emotional constipation, or unchecked rage, or violence they've enacted against us, because they weren't able to regulate their emotions properly. As much as we might hate to admit it, the male loneliness epidemic hurts everyone. The patriarchy hurts everyone. This ridiculous standard that men have to be tough all the time and shove down their emotions until they die hurts everyone. It makes you a worse partner, a worse friend, and it can be confusing as a person because if you don't have the language, or the skills to deal with the turmoil inside of you, it's going to destroy everything around you that you've built. And if this applies to any men watching this video, the reason why you're lonely and the reason why men's mental health is so bad is because of patriarchy. You should want to dismantle it as much as we do. But how does this relate to the alt-right pipeline? Another 1951 book, The True Believer, by the philosopher Eric Hoffer, posits that, quote, the fanatic is perpetually incomplete and insecure, and that, quote, estrangement from the self is a precondition to joining a mass ideological movement. Recent research bolsters Arendt and Hoffer's assertions. A 2020 study published in the journal Group Processing and Intergroup Relations found that social exclusion is a leading factor behind radicalization. A 2021 study conducted by researchers at Rand Corporation found that loneliness is one of the predominant reasons people adopt extremist views and join extremist groups. A study published earlier this year in the journal Political Psychology found that, quote, weak social belonging is associated with an increased probability to vote for populist parties, especially on the right. Former white supremacist Christian Piccolini says he used to believe those types of hate-filled sentiments as well. The rhetoric that I'm hearing today in our society is very similar to the rhetoric that I used to say 30 years ago that was part of our white supremacist neo-Nazi movement. Everything from the words invasion to the idea that people are going to replace whites, he said. Those are all ideas I used to spout when I was a neo-Nazi in the 80s and 90s. It really is just identifying vulnerable young people and then amplifying their passions and trying to fill those voids in their life. Because I've never met a happy white supremacist, he says. I've never met one with positive self-esteem. But he says he's not making excuses for them. I still hold people accountable in many of the same ways I've held myself accountable for 23 years. He says, I came from a loving family that I knew cared about me a lot, but because they were immigrants, they also had to work extremely hard and they were gone 7 days a week, sometimes 14 to 16 hours a day just trying to make ends meet. So I grew up really without my parents around and I felt very abandoned by them, even though I was surrounded by love. So I went searching for a sense of family elsewhere and also a sense of identity and purpose. It absolutely provided camaraderie that I hadn't found in life until the age of 14 years old. I grew up fairly alienated and bullied. It empowered me at first. It was the first group of people that accepted me as a family, that filled me with a sense of purpose. 14 is a really magical age when it comes to extremism or radicalization, and that's for far-right groups or whether it's ISIS or even gangs in inner cities. It's the time when young people are really trying to develop that sense of identity, community, and purpose. They're breaking away from their parents for the first time, and if young people are feeling marginalized or maybe they're vulnerable or they get detoured by what I call potholes, the things in life that we encounter, things like trauma or mental health issues or poverty or joblessness or even privilege, which can keep us in a bubble. Those types of things detour people as they're searching for identity, community, and purpose. On the fringes, there's always somebody with a narrative, ready to give it to you and to certainly blame somebody else for the pain that you're feeling. We are also living in a time where the youngest generations in this country are worse off than our parents. Late-stage capitalism has corrupted this country. The majority of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. Affordable housing is a joke. Almost every third space outside of home and work has some fee or subscription associated with it, which means it's gotten harder and more expensive to just spend time with people. Whether it's because you can't afford to go to the movies or you don't have time for relaxation and hanging out with your friends because you're working multiple jobs just to put food on the table. So we stay at home instead, further isolating. And if you do have time to talk with your friends, it's usually over game chat or Discord, which is nice, but isn't the same as those in-person experiences. We are all feeling a lot of anger about not living the lives that we want to live, about not living the lives promised to us. And naturally, we look for someone to blame. So what do men do? What do any of us do? We go online, because at least that's free, and see if there's something, anything we can do to feel better about ourselves.
A man can only cheat if he loves someone else. If I have a woman who I truly love, and I go out and fuck, and I come back to her, and I don't care about her, and I only love my girl, that's not cheating.
That men are measured on what they create, their income they have, and their status. Women are measured on their beauty. You guys live here in Miami. How many dumb bimbos do you know that get invited to celebrity parties and or dating guys that are way above them socioeconomically, status-wise? There's a bunch. You could be a girl, 21 years old, no accomplishments, get invited to a party with Future and Gun and everything. He was there, whereas as a man, you have to become a somebody to get invited to these parties. Men and women are not the same, and a woman's value is not based on how much money she earns and her success. If she does, it's fantastic, good for her, but it does not make her sexier. Do you guys believe that modern-day women respect men?
No. One of the most pervasive sayings in this community is never believe what a woman says, watch what she does. Women don't respect men, obviously, because of our culture. Men today are, or at least the top men, are more exceptional than they have. We're more exceptional than we've ever been in human history. Our innovation, the IQs, the advancements in science and technology technology and medicine, yet women still look at us as, I don't know, disposable commodities. Women don't respect us because we don't make them earn our commitment. And a woman can never respect if you don't make her earn your commitment.
How does a woman oppress you?
Her purity.
There's nothing else going on
Is
there.
respect?
There's not like how passionate is she or what experiences does she have. Nothing like that. It's just like
Well,
how pure is she, how untouched is she, like
I
a
mean,
child.
it-
That's it. That's what you
That's
care
not
about.
it, but it goes a long way for a man to be able to have those experiences with you instead of having to step in and change your mind. You know what I mean? So if you've been dealing with a man
So
for
you want to mind control a
no,
child?
it's not control. It's just having that shock factor. Just having that ability to say, I'm the one who gave her these prefaces. You know,
Pride
she got it from me.
situation.
It sounds like you're trying to find someone really
To,
young
like,
with no
shape them or
experience.
something,
That
to,
is
like-
because you're so insecure that someone else might have been beforehand there.
Why would
That's
you
what
want
it
a
sounds
woman
like.
that had experience with another? Why,
Because you're
how would,
insecure.
how would you feel,
Automatically.
Adam, if a woman came up to you and y'all got together and y'all getting ready to do the do, and she said, hey, this is my favorite position? Instead of, wouldn't it be better if you...
All right, you want me to answer that?
Tell you that or
Like,
what?
all right, let's get it in then. What do you mean? Brother, I don't
will
want a
tell you
virgin.
that.
So there's a saying that they use in Europe. They were talking about the men who went to World War II and they came back, and there was something different about their eyes. Like all the bad things they seen was etched onto their eyes. And it's a real thing. If I ever have beef with someone, I can look him in the eyes and know if he's about it or not. You're not gonna be able to imitate being a G. You have to go out there and you have to suffer as a man. You gotta go through trauma to be a G as a man.
So if you had a daughter and she was 10 and she got raped, and she was gonna give birth and she would and she was gonna give birth and she was gonna live, would you want her to go through that and carry her rapist baby?
That's awfully graphic.
It's no, but it's a real life scenario that happens to many people.
The answer is yes, the baby would be delivered.
Oh, okay, great. So that's insane.
Mention these cartels. You agree these cartels are profiting off human trafficking, right?
Of course.
So why don't we open up legal means for these people to come in here? Then they don't have to give the cartels money. They're making more money off human trafficking right now because of our immigration system. It doesn't allow more people. And the Republicans do not have a bill to allow more people to come here legally.
I mean, so your answer to illegal immigration is just magically legalize everyone.
No, it's to open up legal paths so these people don't have to leave their livelihood in these countries and carry a bag and walk through the jungle with their kids.
By the logic that you're using, we could make murder absolutely not a thing by simply pretending that murder is now legal.
What?
Cut to November 6th. 2024. Most men, including young unmarried men, voted for a candidate that has planned to strip women even further of their right to receive life-saving medical care, which will lead to more women dying. This has been proven, it's indisputable. If Trump moves forward with his abortion plans, which he has planned to do, a lot more women will die unnecessarily from complications of pregnancy. And I know that some of the situations it's going to lead back to the state, but again, what happens in the deep red states that enforce abortion bans? Women are going to die. Doctors in deep red states are afraid to perform life-saving medical procedures because they're worried they might go to jail. It's also worth noting that the majority of women that get abortions are already mothers, so you're leaving children motherless by enacting these policies. So much for preserving the traditional family. Now, of course, there are a lot of policies that Trump has run on that I really don't agree with, but we're going to focus on abortion for now because that is one that affects anyone with a uterus in this country, and it's a pretty widespread issue that deals directly with this entire discussion as a whole. With a new Trump presidency on the way, many men felt emboldened online to say some of the most heinous shit I've ever heard.
Your body, my choice.
In the week since Donald Trump was elected president again, sexist and abusive attacks on women have ramped up on social media.
Hey, we control your bodies. Guess what? Guys win again.
In its report, the ISD said harassment is already moving offline with young girls and parents sharing real-world experiences involving the phrase, your body, my choice, on social media, including, quote, the phrase being directed at them within schools or chanted by young boys in classes.
Your body, my choice. Take it like a good girl. Men won. Keep your legs closed and losing your single rate of murder won't be an issue. Women are genuinely the most overreactive,
Spelled wrong.
emotionally told little menstrual creatures, aren't they? Body count on 100. Make me a sandwich, ho. Ha ha ha, now zip it and make me a sandwich. Shouldn't you be out getting fitted for your handmaid's outfit? Your body, my choice. Ha ha. The right to spread your legs with no repercussions? Womp womp, I'm hungry. Keep ought in your pants then.
Again, wrong.
Sandwich now, chop chop. Well, at least I can buy groceries now. Who gives a fuck about your rights? Find a husband with a job now. Have fun losing your right.
And after reading the exit polls and a few too many your body, my choice comments, women were upset and felt betrayed by the men in their lives. They felt like these men didn't give a fuck about them, so they came out with their own videos.
All these men talking about, Trump men talking about how they can't get laid, that they're so tired, there's a loneliness epidemic. You bitches just made it so much worse. You made it so much worse. Good luck getting laid now. Good luck finding a woman now.
And you know what? The more I think about it, I don't want to hear shit about a male loneliness epidemic. Save it. Save it for your journal. Save it for your mother. Save it for your grandmother. Save it for your next argument with your father. I don't care where you put it. Put it anywhere but here. Because I don't give a fuck. Look at the way that men voted in this election. Is this a men's loneliness epidemic, or is it the natural consequences of men being reared in such a way that actively puts them against women's rights, and then they grow up and they expect to be able to marry a woman? No fun for you within the foreseeable future. Within these next 4 years, not if I have anything to do with it. We don't want you. You are being cut off. You will not have access. For these next 4 years, you are going to be blue balled.
What I am about to say, I say as a man who works in a mental health field, who is married to a woman in a staunchly conservative state. I do not care about the male loneliness epidemic at all. Not right now. It is not my job to help y'all dudes cope with loneliness that you continue to cause yourselves. If you want positive companionship with women, or at all, you need to start voting for other people's interests instead of exclusively your own.
I'm about to sit here and sip my tea as I watch that male loneliness epidemic skyrocket. Yeah, and I'm gonna enjoy every fucking waking moment of it. I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna smile. I'm gonna cackle. I'm gonna laugh. Y'all are gonna have all this power and still no woman will actually fucking love you. I hope that even after all this power, you're still sad, pathetic, and lonely. No, women aren't gonna care about your mental health because you don't even care about their physical well-being. And I'm not gonna care about your mental health because, well, you don't care about it.
I need men in this country to understand how badly they fucked up this week. You thought the current male loneliness epidemic was hard? Congratulations. Women are never going to speak to men or give us the time of day ever again.
I really don't ever want to hear shit about the male loneliness epidemic ever again! You deserve to be lonely. You're a terrible person. You're voting away women's rights and everyone else's rights because you think it's cool and whatever. You deserve to be lonely. You don't deserve a girlfriend. You don't deserve a family and children. If you want people to care about your mental health, you need to start caring about other people besides yourself. Oh my God!
Men will get rejected and become misogynists. Do you know what makes women misandrists? Being raped, abused, harassed, lied to, cheated on. We are not fighting the same fight.
The way that young men in this country got it into their heads that voting for Trump and voting against the rights of women would make them tough guys, so bonkers to me. Nothing could be further from the truth. And I just want to ask, do you think that the Punisher would be okay with the government trying to control his wife's body? Seriously, this is a thought experiment. Do you think Frank Castle, the Punisher, the super tough badass you all pretend to be in your fantasies, do you think he would just sit back and take it when the government tried to control his wife's body? Do you think that John Wick would be okay watching his wife bleed out from a miscarriage in a fucking parking lot because she can't get a termination of pregnancy procedure to save her life? Because I don't think they would. I think they would tell the government to stay the fuck away from the women they love because that's what actual strong men do. Rolling over and just taking it like a dog when other men try to come after the women you love, that's weak. It's the weakest thing I can think of.
And honestly, this is a fair reaction because while men are dealing with increased depression and isolation, women are gonna be literally dying. Like, cannot be avoided, women will be dying. Women can't therapy their way out of needing a life-saving procedure. Women can't join a tennis club to make more friends to avoid death when they get sepsis. This reaction was appropriate for the situation at hand, and this infighting continued over the next few days. The U.S. Coalition for People Who Date Men came out with an announcement, the 4B movement. The 4B movement is a feminist movement originated in South Korea by women who rejected traditional expectations around relationships and marriage to men. The 4 tenets are the 4 no's. No dating men, no sex with men, no marriage with men, and no childbirth. The movement arose in response to gender inequality, violence against women, and the expectations of women in South Korean culture. And many women who felt betrayed by men in the 2024 US election are aligning with this movement. And it is worth noting that the vast majority of women doing this are doing it to protect themselves from rape, to protect themselves from abuse, to protect themselves from being forced to have a baby they don't want, to protect themselves from dying from complications of pregnancy, to protect their peace and their happiness. In the past few decades, women have been able to make the choice whether they want to be with men in the first place. Women are graduating from college at a higher rate than men, and they've been able to be financially independent. They haven't had to marry a man. Has that stopped women from marrying men? Of course not. But with the 4B movement, this choice has now been taken to the next level, standing as a movement, going cold turkey. And I do think, in general, this is a good idea because it sends a really powerful message. But I do have a few critiques and caveats. For example, the 4B movement has been critiqued for its transphobia and homophobia, not including trans women and lesbians in their movement, and not accounting for trans men whose reproductive safety is also at risk. And we're not doing that here. Everyone with a uterus is welcome, and our trans sisters are protected by our sisterhood. And another thing, this has historically been an American problem, but we need to make sure that we are keeping in mind Black women, Native women, brown women, because even now, white women continue to act against their own self-interests and center themselves in conversations around feminism and actively exclude women of color. We're not doing that here. Solidarity is not conditional. We are not free until we're all free, and white women's whiteness should not be a stronger driver of their activism than womanhood. Regarding the 4B movement, a quick word of caution. If the US is going forward with the 4B movement, or some version of it, the violence against women will increase. Historically, when women don't give men what they want, they try to take it by force. In South Korea, where this movement was founded, domestic violence against women has increased dramatically in recent years. A surge in dating violence in South Korea has led to an alarming number of deaths in recent years, but a lack of specific laws to address such violence has often allowed perpetrators to get away with lenient punishments, with experts underscoring the need for a stronger legal framework. In one recent incident, a medical student in his 20s allegedly killed his victim on a high-rise rooftop in broad daylight when she demanded a breakup. Another case involved a man who unlawfully entered his former partner's house and strangled her to death. In March, yet another man stabbed his ex-partner to death after she broke up with him. These cases represent only a fraction of a concerning trend. The National Police Agency has reported a sharp increase in dating violence cases from about 49,000 in 2020 to a record high of more than 77,000 in 2023, with more than 19,000 reports so far this year. However, out of nearly 14,000 alleged perpetrators of dating violence in 2023, only 310 individuals, 2.22%, were arrested specifically for such crimes. The National Police Agency confirmed to Korea Pro. And I want to remind everyone that this doesn't have to be our future. My advice to women is to take self-defense classes if you're able, and arm yourself if that is something you are comfortable with. Despite how afraid I am of guns, I am taking a gun safety course and I am interested in purchasing a gun just to protect myself. I know that's not going to be for everybody, especially if you are someone at high risk for suicide. If you have a gun in your house, I believe it increases your risk of suicide by like 400%. So if you are someone who is at risk, do not go out and purchase a gun. There are plenty of other ways that you can protect yourself. I know many women they've purchased like I forget the poundage, but a master lock like wrapped around a bandana, because that's something you can carry in many different places. For example, pepper spray is something you can't carry a lot of places, but the master lock with wrapped around a bandana it's a common enough item that is allowed to be carried just kind of anywhere, and you can swing it and protect yourself and hit someone in the face if they are attacking you. In the meantime, men, protect the women in your life. This is a role that you can actively play to make women feel more safe and to show women that you are a safe person to be around. We can avoid this future if we take the proper countermeasures. Now, at this point, you might be calling me a man-hating misandrist, someone with daddy issues, saying that I wish all men were dead, blah, blah, blah. But it might surprise you that the majority of my oldest friends, as in the people I've been friends with the longest, are men. I've been friends with some of these men for almost 15 years at this point. One of them got married this past summer, which was very exciting. I know there are good ones, but the only good ones are the ones that are willing to listen to women. That is the key. They have to listen when women talk about the things that make them feel unsafe. I've always been outspoken, for better or for worse. And I've always been very honest with my friends, regardless of gender. I'm not afraid of conflict. And I've always believed that honesty is the best policy. Whenever my friends who are men have said something misogynist or racist in the past, I've called them out for it. I started doing this as early as high school with simple phrases like, come on, man, that's not cool. Or actually, that's not true. That's a common misconception. Or that's pretty fucked up. And then I will explain why, and they listened. Now, that doesn't really happen nearly as often anymore because they know their responsibility. These men know that they have to do the work if they really care about the women, the queer people, and the people of color in their lives and beyond. They have taken the steps to continue educating themselves and being cognizant of those voices and those stories. And they're not perfect. They still make mistakes, but they also don't get super sensitive and offended when I correct them. And I know that I'm very lucky and I'm very privileged that around these men, I don't have to worry about my own personal safety. Even further, I know that if a bad situation were to come up, they would look out for me. And they have. Because when you're friends with someone for that long and you do enough stupid shit, sometimes you end up in dangerous situations. And as a woman, those dangerous situations are more likely. So having these men around me that I can trust has made my life easier because I know that they have my safety in mind. They're thinking about it the way I would. And guess what? This is gonna make the red pill men so mad. Every single one of these men that are kind and patient and listen, every single one of them has either a long-term girlfriend or they're married. Every single fucking one. Can you imagine that? Men that value women actually get pussy. What a fucking concept. On the other side of that, the men that are not in my life anymore, the ones that I did try to talk to that immediately shut down, took my words as a personal attack, or otherwise just cared more about their fragile ego than they do about women's safety, are fucking chronically single. Straight and queer women have told men what they want time and time again through direct conversations, things like stand-up comedy, movies, books, TV shows, Reddit posts, even in comment sections. And the reality is, these women don't want to be with them because many men just don't fucking care to listen. So now women are bowing the fuck out because the majority of men voted directly against their rights, and 15 million men didn't think their rights were important enough to vote for in the first place. And I want to talk now directly to any men who have come across this video that might be falling down the alt-right pipeline. What exactly have commentators like Charlie Kirk, Andrew Tate, Ben Shapiro done for you lately? Have they actually made you any happier? Like truly happier? Have they actually helped you improve your circumstances at all? Do you have a girlfriend? Have you bootstrapped yourself enough to buy a house? Do you have a Bugatti? Sorry, I couldn't resist. Or are you just further ostracized from the women and other marginalized people in your life? Have you just solidified yourself in your echo chambers and refrained from doing absolutely any inner work yourself? Because contrary to popular belief, self-improvement isn't just gassing yourself up. It's reckoning with the parts of you that are ugly and bad and harmful and working through them. What am I doing that hurts people? Why do I feel this way? What can I do to be better? What can be done? So, what can be done? I still think it's valuable to talk openly and honestly to the men in your life because some of them will listen. But I think the bigger burden of responsibility here in this conversation is, yes, on men. Because the reality is, the ones that are already red-pilled won't listen to us. We have fucking tried. We've been trying for generations. So if you're a man watching this video and you want puss, you better make sure your neighbor Kyle doesn't turn into a neo-Nazi and convince as many men as possible to vote for our rights next time. You can have these conversations standing up for women anywhere. And every time you do, just know that the women in your life appreciate it and you are doing the right thing, even if they aren't there to praise you for it. Trying to make the world safer for marginalized groups will always make you a finer piece of ass than an Andrew Tate bootlicker. Also, let me be clear. When I encourage people in marginalized groups to, quote, talk to men in your life, I'm not talking about black women. Y'all have done enough. I have been listening to you say the same shit, give the same warnings since 2016, and people haven't fucking listened. The labor's on us now. White women specifically. We gotta get our fucking house in order. Give the people of color in your life, particularly the black women in your life, give them a fucking break. Give them a fucking break. And for any women participating in the 4B movement, there's an initiative in America where we are making the pockets hurt of industries that rely on women. So, for example, not going to clubs anymore. Clubs and nightlife spaces are where women are the product. They are the draw. Bring back house parties. They're cheaper, they're safer, and you never have to listen to another fucking Chris Brown song in the wild again. Another thing women can do is be an active support system for the women in your life. Include trans women, include women of color. I know I keep saying this, but I feel like I have to keep saying this because some of y'all won't get it. If you are a man looking to expand your emotional vocabulary and have deeper connections with the men in your life, I found this Psychology Today article that was very helpful that will hopefully make this process a little bit more approachable for you if you're actually interested in making change. Number 1, identify people who have already earned some trust. Surely there are some people who have already earned some trust from you. This may not be a long list, and that's okay. Deep, trusting relationships are not built with just anyone. A few qualities to look in those who are worthy of trust and qualities you will want to develop to earn the trust of others. Honest, but non-judgmental. Patient, knows how to listen sincerely, consistent, and reliable. Number 2, seek out moments of connection. Be intentional about spending time with the people you've identified. Show that you've invested in the relationship by giving them a call or asking them out to coffee. Number 3, take incremental emotional risks. When connecting with these people, take the risk of sharing more of yourself than normal. Don't worry about saying it just right. The important part is letting this person see more of who you are beneath the surface. If emotions come up, breathe and let them be seen. Number 4, open up a step at a time. Trust is built through gradual self-disclosure, and sharing more does not always mean it builds faster. Start gradually, a step at a time, one brick on top of the other. Quote, oversharing or quote, trauma dumping is not vulnerability and doesn't lead to a real connection. When opening up, think about whether you're talking with this person or talking at them. It's meant to be a conversation with give and take. Number 5, be present and return the trust. Make space for the other person to open up as well. Listen to understand, not respond. Use body language that shows you're present, facing them, arms uncrossed, with good eye contact and steady breathing. If they open up and share something painful or difficult, breathe through it and sit with them in discomfort. Holding that space for them is a powerful way to build trust and connection. Number 6, breathe through the vulnerability hangover. Sometimes after we take those emotional risks, we can walk away with the feeling of, yikes, maybe I shared too much. This is a normal feeling after we share something vulnerable. It's much like a good workout, leaving our vulnerability muscle with a bit of an ache. Take steady breaths and let the feeling pass. Vulnerability is an act of courage and you'll be stronger for it. For anyone out there interested in making a change, this is a warning to everyone. on. When coalitions and various marginalized groups start standing in solidarity together, those interested in upholding white supremacy, including our own government, historically have created wedges between them. Remember that. For example, one pipeline for liberal women to conservative women is trans issues, stoking the transphobia that we have in our society to get liberal women more on the side of conservative women. This is the tunnel to the alt-right. Obviously, there's many different examples of this, but just know in terms of solidarity, we are not free until we're all free. So if you're someone who's a feminist, you are also someone who should be standing with something like Black Lives Matter, with Free Palestine, standing up against toxic masculinity and the patriarchy, aligning with unions, etc., etc. Like I said, we're not free until we're all free. Just to wrap this up, because I know y'all have been here a while, I know there are men out there willing to listen. I know there are men out there who do care, but there are so many who do not give a fuck. They don't give a shit. They don't want to learn. They don't want to make their problems better. They just want to blame it on someone else instead of going after the real enemy, which is, of course, always patriarchy and capitalism. But if you are one of the good ones, if you are a man watching this video, thank you for being here. If you agree enough with what I said to do something about it, we need you. We need you to talk to the men in your life who don't give a fuck about this and try to make them care. I am lucky to have a partner of several years that is constantly advocating for my own safety, my mental health, and my happiness. This is a man that is constantly having conversations with his family and his friends and checking them on their bullshit. This is a man who, when I opened up to him about my sexual assault, he spent the next few weeks looking up stories of other women who had been sexually assaulted and learned how he could be a better boyfriend to me based on their experiences. This is a man who does most of the cooking in our house because I work 2 jobs. This is a man that when Trump got elected, he said, quote, "I will do literally everything in my power to protect you and keep you safe. Nothing is going to harm you while I'm around." And when he is vulnerable, I, as his partner, am respectful of that. He creates a safe place for me, and I create a safe place for him. This is the home that we've built together. When he cries, I console him, and I never make him feel bad about that. We have an equal partnership. We lean on each other. He makes my life better, easier, and happier. And I do the same for him. I know that most people that date men, this is what they want. They want someone who is kind, who is patient, who listens, who will pull their weight. And the sad reality is, most men just don't do that. But over these next 4 years, we all have our parts to play. White women continue to be a fucking disappointment. And as a white woman, it's my job to show people of color that I am a safe person with my actions. I will be advocating for their rights as well as my own. I have to show them through my actions that I care about their safety and their happiness. Men are in the same position. Show them you're one of the good ones. Women are not your enemy. This establishment wants you angry. And I can't have empathy for your plight if you don't have empathy for anyone else's. If you're only thinking about yourself, this conversation is a full stop. But if you are at all interested in making this world a better place, there's room for you. Listen to marginalized voices. Hear what they need and relay that in spaces where only you are welcome. It's not going to be comfortable. It's probably going to feel weird if you've never done that kind of advocacy before. But it does get easier, and this is how you make things better. You change minds, you shift perspectives. It's done before, and we can do it again. As always, I have Rwan's GoFundMe linked below. She was supposed to attend university this year, but Israel bombed her home and her school out of existence. If you are unable to donate, make sure to leave a like and a comment to boost the algorithm, because there's got to be someone on this godforsaken app that can give $1 or $2. I recently finished a D&D campaign where all of the ad revenue goes directly to Palestinian families, so by literally watching D&D, you are helping the people of Palestine. I have a playlist linked in the upper right corner and in the description as well. Make sure to check out our sponsor Surfshark below. It really helps my channel, and it would be really awesome if I could work with them in the future. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you want to hear more from me. Please take care of yourselves. Bye.